If you do not want to change, if you do not want to better yourself, if you do not want to break outside of this matrix, if you want to live in your comfortable delusion that they have built for you, do not watch these videos.
Because when I step to the game, I rip that shit apart. My evolution
if you
carry those from magic
do not
and I ain't
want
finished
the
shopping
truth,
till the whole world is in
don't
my
want
cart.
to understand, if you are not here
choose a role and play your part. Beneficial functionality and strategize smart.
That's outside of your own mind and accept others' minds and opinions and the way they think for themselves.
Trying as hard as I can against all of the odds, pushing as hard as I could is what got me so far.
If you are not trying to
what are my chances
be positive,
reaching the stars?
if you are not trying to help create solutions while we discuss the problems and how they got here, you do not belong here. Negativity, hate, disrespect, name calling, those things will not be allowed here on this platform and not in this empire. We are the ones, the true Americans that want to be free and stand as we have always stood.
Getting smoked in the dark, hella cooking shit up. If your ass wanna spar, barbecue your beef up like the seats in my car. Cool yourself off, refrigerator a jar. Baby rappers be not rap like this is not an art. It's not an art. You forgot about that part.
I say tonight, members of Congress, the state of our union is strong. Our country is winning again. In fact, we're winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it. People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much. And I say, no, 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 you're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud.
Let me start with a simple, verifiable, uncontested fact. In 1885, the Home Insurance Building rose 10 stories above the streets of Chicago. 10 stories of steel and glass and load-bearing ambition. We call it the first skyscraper. We give it a birthday, a father, William LeBaron Jenney, a story, clean and complete. We teach it in architecture schools, we print it in textbooks, we move on. But here's what we don't ask. Here's the question that nobody seems particularly interested in answering. How did they actually do it? Not the theory, not the blueprints, not the proud newspaper announcements, but the how, the logistics, the supply chains, the material science, the labor mathematics, the coordination of a workforce operating in an era of horse-drawn carts, hand-mixed mortar, and, in many places, no reliable electricity whatsoever. How did men working with tools we would consider primitive, and I mean that literally, not poetically, how did they quarry, transport, mill, fabricate, hoist, align and permanently fix millions of pounds of dressed stone and structural steel to tolerances that would satisfy a modern engineer? How? That's not a rhetorical question. I mean it literally. How? I've spent considerable time studying the photographic record of early skyscraper construction, and I want to be precise about what I mean when I say the record is incomplete. I don't mean it's sparse. Sparse would be understandable. Photography was young, film was expensive, documentation was inconsistent. Sparse I can accept. What I cannot accept is the specific and peculiar nature of what is missing. We have photographs of finished buildings, thousands of them. Gorgeous, detailed, high-resolution images for the era of facades, lobbies, ornamental ironwork of breathtaking complexity. We have portraits of the architects, the financiers, the politicians who attended ribbon-cutting ceremonies. We have newspaper coverage, speeches, dedications. What we do not have in the quantity or detail that the scale of these projects demands is comprehensive documentation of the construction process itself. The deeper you look, the stranger the contrast becomes. We're taught to think of this as progress, the heroic march of industrial civilization pulling itself up by its own bootstraps. Maybe it was, but progress usually leaves a trail. Usually, there is a before and an after, connected by a long, messy, documented, failure-filled middle. We see that middle period for flight, from Cayley's gliders in the 1840s through 1,000 experimental disasters all the way to Kitty Hawk. We see it for steam power, crude Newcomen pumps, then Watts refinements, then the long unglamorous decades of improvement. We don't really see it for the buildings. Where are the 10-story buildings that struggled? Where are the 12-story buildings that partially collapsed, that required emergency retrofitting, that stand as monuments to learning curves and trial and error? The pattern repeats with unsettling precision. Magnificent buildings appear, fully formed, with a confidence and precision that seems to precede the documentation of how they were achieved. Let me take you to New York, 1902. The Flatiron Building, 22 stories. A steel skeleton wrapped in limestone and terracotta, tapering to an impossibly delicate point where Broadway meets Fifth Avenue at 23rd Street. Stand beneath it and tilt your head back. What you feel is not just admiration, it's a faint, creeping disorientation. Because something in your gut, the part that understands weight and gravity and the limitations of human effort, that part says, this should not be here. Now come with me to a different continent entirely, Melbourne, Australia. 1888, the Rialto Building, 8 stories, a confection of Gothic revival stonework that would look entirely at home on a medieval European cathedral, except it was constructed in a city that had been a colonial settlement for barely 50 years. 50 years, think about what that means. The people who built Melbourne's first permanent European structure were still alive. And now this, São Paulo, Brazil, late 1800s. Ornate neoclassical buildings with European flourishes appearing in a city that, by all colonial accounts, was still establishing basic infrastructure.
The Borg found new ground.
Buenos Aires, Shanghai, Bombay. The pattern repeats with unsettling precision, not in one place, not in two, but across the world, simultaneously. In cities with vastly different resources, labour pools, climates and levels of industrialisation, all producing, within roughly the same narrow historical window, buildings of extraordinary scale and ornamental complexity. And that's where the coordination problem becomes impossible to ignore. I want to dwell on the labour question for a moment, because this is where the official explanation starts to buckle. The Biltmore Estate in Asheville, North Carolina, construction began 1889. The main house alone contains 178,926 square feet, 35 bedrooms, 43 bathrooms, a banquet hall whose oak-beamed ceiling soars 70 feet. The stone used for its construction, Indiana limestone, was quarried in a different state, transported by rail to a dedicated spur line that had to be constructed specifically for this project, and then carved by artisans into thousands of individual decorative elements, each unique, each requiring skilled hands and precise eyes. They did this in 6 years with no power tools, no cranes in the modern sense, no computer-aided design, no laser levels, no prefabrication facilities. Contemporary accounts describe the workforce as numbering around 1,000 men. At peak, 1,000 men, for a building whose total decorative stonework, if laid end to end, would stretch for miles. I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm asking you to sit with the math and feel what it produces, because what it produces, in me, is a question I cannot answer. Where did the expertise come from? A stonemason capable of producing that quality of work takes years, sometimes a decade, to develop his skills. You cannot conjure 1,000 of them on demand for a single project in rural North Carolina, and then simply disperse them when it's done. Expertise propagates through lineages, schools, guilds, apprenticeships. You need the infrastructure of a tradition. What was that tradition? Where is its paper trail? If you've spent any time in alternative history spaces, and if you're watching this, you probably have, you've encountered the name, Tartaria, or Tartary. A vast territory appearing on maps as late as the early 1800s, spanning from Eastern Europe to the Pacific, labelled simply as Great Tartary, or Chinese Tartary, or Independent Tartary. On official maps, produced by official cartographers, published by official governments, and then gradually, not all at once but steadily, the name fades from cartography. The territory gets subdivided, renamed, absorbed. By the mid-1800s, it has largely ceased to appear as a distinct political entity. Now, I want to be careful here. I'm not telling you that Tartaria was a secret empire that built your local post office. That would be the easy, comfortable, sensational version of this story. And I don't think the truth, whatever the truth actually is going to be that simple. What I'm asking is this: is it possible that the historical record of whatever existed in that territory has been more thoroughly erased than we've been led to believe? Is it possible that architectural traditions, engineering knowledge, material sciences, developed in that vast and poorly documented region, travelled through trade, through displacement, through the movement of peoples, into the building programs of the 19th century? Is it possible that what we're looking at in Chicago in 1885, in Melbourne in 1888, in São Paulo in 1891, is not the birth of something, but the final flowering of something much older? Once you see it, you can't unsee it. The question isn't whether, the question is how much. Here's what I keep coming back to: the ornament. If you were building a new structure using genuinely new methods developed on the fly, assembled by a newly trained workforce operating at the frontier of technological capability, if all of that were true, you would expect the buildings to be functional, maybe even crude. The ornament would come later, once you'd solved the engineering problems, once you had surplus capacity, once the hard work of figuring out how was behind you, but that's not what we see. What we see right from the beginning is buildings that are maximally ornamented. Gargoyles and grotesques, egg and dart mouldings at every cornice, rusticated base courses, polished granite columns, terracotta panels depicting foliage, faces, mythological scenes, and these are not applied afterward, not tacked on as decorative afterthoughts. They are integrated into the structure. They are structural in many cases, which means whoever designed these buildings, whoever trained the people who built them, already knew before the first stone was laid, exactly how complex it could be and how intricate it would need to be. That is not the behavior of a civilization figuring something out. That is the behavior of a civilization that has already figured it out. The deeper I went into the photographic record, the more this feeling accumulated. The Rookery Building in Chicago, 1888, its light court, rebuilt by Frank Lloyd Wright but originally designed by Burnham and Root, features ironwork of such extraordinary intricacy that metallurgists today are not entirely certain how some of the joints were achieved at scale. The Library of Congress completed 1897 160,000 pieces of art, mosaic and sculpture embedded in a building constructed over 11 years using methods that, according to official records, were being invented as they went. That last phrase. Invented as they went. How many times does that explanation satisfy you before you start wondering what it's actually concealing? Every technology has an awkward adolescence. Cars looked ridiculous before they looked sleek. Aircraft were fragile death traps before they became instruments of reliable transport. Early photographs were blurry, early phonographs tinny, early computers room-sized and error-prone.
The new 2026 Silverado R.
Where is the awkward adolescence of the great 19th century building programs? Where are the transitional skyscrapers? The ones with misaligned facades, botched load-bearing calculations, decorative programs that started too ambitiously and had to be simplified halfway through. Where are the buildings that represent a civilization learning to do something it hadn't done before? They don't exist. Or if they do, they are so rare as to be statistically anomalous. What exists instead is an almost fully formed tradition, appearing suddenly, deployed across the entire world, executed with a confidence and consistency that implies deep institutional knowledge, and then, just as suddenly, fading. By the early 20th century, the ornamental tradition collapses. The Beaux-Arts gives way to the international style. The carvings disappear, the mouldings vanish, the grotesques come down, and the official explanation for why is that modernism was simply better, simply more rational, simply more honest about what architecture could be. But is that the whole story? Or is it also true that by the early 20th century, whatever reservoir of knowledge had been feeding the great building programs was running dry? That the craftsmen who knew how to carve those mouldings, fabricate that ironwork, lay that masonry, were aging, dying and not being replaced because the tradition that produced them had been severed at the root? The silence on this question is deafening. Here is a pattern I want you to notice. For almost every major building constructed in the late 19th century, the documentary record is incomplete in specific, interesting ways. Construction photographs often begin partway through the project. We have images of a half-built facade, but nothing from the foundation stage. Workers' accounts are scarce. The specialized subcontractors who executed the ornamental work are often listed in general ledgers, but otherwise vanish from the historical record. No workshops documented, no apprenticeship records, no professional guilds whose archives survive intact. I want to be precise about what I'm saying. I'm not saying the records were destroyed. I'm asking whether they ever fully existed in the forms we would expect. Because there is a difference between records that were lost and records that were never created, or were created within a tradition that did not organize knowledge the way Western bureaucratic systems do. What if some portion of the workforce that built these buildings came from a tradition where knowledge was transmitted orally, practically, not through written specifications, but through embodied craft carried in hands and eyes, and muscle memory? What if that workforce dispersed or diminished, or simply reached the end of a lineage with no one to carry it forward? What would that look like in the archive? It would look like exactly what we have. Fragments, incomplete ledgers, photographs that start in the middle, names without biographies, skills without schools. The official explanation here isn't wrong exactly, it's just thin. And the thinner it is, the more it invites you to ask what might be underneath it. Let me return to the coordination problem because I don't think we've sat with it long enough. In the 1880s and 1890s, there is no internet, no rapid worldwide communication. The telegraph exists, but it transmits words, not blueprints. International mail is slow, unreliable, frequently lost. And yet, across 6 continents, in cities with no meaningful direct contact with each other, buildings are going up that share not just a general stylistic vocabulary, but specific ornamental details. The same proportional systems, the same constructional sequences, the same integration of structure and decoration, in ways that imply access to a common source. This raises a simple but critical question. What was the common source? The official answer is the architectural schools, the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, primarily, which trained architects from around the world who then returned home and deployed what they'd learned. And yes, that explains some of it, the formal compositional principles, the classical vocabulary, the preference for symmetry and hierarchy. but it does not explain the craft. Because the architects design the building, but they don't lay the stone, they don't fabricate the iron, they don't carve the capitals. For that you need craftsmen, and craftsmen are not trained in architecture school. They are trained in workshops, in guilds, in apprenticeships that span decades. And those networks for the ornamental craft traditions of the late 19th century are spectacularly poorly documented everywhere at once. Not in Paris, not in Chicago, not in Melbourne, not in Buenos Aires. Everywhere, simultaneously, the record of where these people came from and how they knew what they knew is thin, fragmentary, and oddly consistent in its thinness. The pattern repeats with unsettling precision. I want to ask a different kind of question now, not about the buildings themselves, but about the process of forgetting. Collective amnesia, when it occurs, is rarely total. Usually there are holdouts, institutions that remember, communities that preserve, individuals who write things down that shouldn't have been written down. And sometimes those holdouts leave traces. In folklore, in regional building traditions, in the persistence of certain techniques in isolated communities, long after those techniques had ostensibly been forgotten everywhere else. What you find, when you look for these traces, is that they exist. In scattered pockets across Central Asia, in communities along old Silk Road corridors, in isolated mountain regions of Eastern Europe, and the Caucasus, there are masonry and decorative traditions whose relationship to the formal architectural programs of the 19th century West is, let me choose this word carefully, unexplained, not disproven, not impossible, just unexplained. Is that a connection? I don't know. Is it a coincidence? Possibly. But once you see it, the coincidences start to cluster in uncomfortable ways. And the official explanation, which essentially requires you to believe that the same styles, the same techniques, the same formal solutions emerged independently in a dozen different places within the same narrow historical window, that explanation starts to feel less like scholarship and more like a story someone decided we needed to believe. The evidence suggests something much larger than what we've been told. I don't have a clean conclusion for you. I want to be honest about that. What I have is a pattern of capability appearing faster than it should, of records being absent where they should be abundant, of coordination occurring where coordination should have been impossible, of a tradition flourishing and then collapsing within a single century without adequate explanation for either its rise or its fall. What I have is the question of Tartaria, not as a simple empire with a capital and a flag, but as a placeholder for something we haven't properly named yet. A repository of knowledge, perhaps, a network of craft traditions, a civilization, or a confluence of civilizations whose relationship to the built world of the 19th century has been at minimum inadequately investigated, and at maximum, I don't know. And I think that's honest. What I keep returning to, in the end, is the buildings themselves, the ones you walk past every day in any city with a 19th century core, the ones whose facades you've stopped seeing because familiarity has made them invisible. Look at them again, look at what it would take to build them. Look at what it would take to know how to build them, and then ask yourself, does the story we've been given, the heroic march of industrial progress, the self-taught artisans, the newly invented techniques, does that story actually account for what you're looking at? Or does it merely describe it, the way you can describe a magic trick without explaining how it works? Because there is a difference between description and explanation, between the official record and the full truth, between what we're told happened and what the evidence, the silent, surviving, still standing evidence in stone and iron and terracotta, what that evidence, impervious to revision, stubbornly, magnificently present, actually shows. They built things we struggle to explain. They knew things we cannot trace. And then somehow that knowledge was gone, not transferred, not evolved, not superseded, gone. And nobody, not the historians, not the archivists, not the architectural scholars in their well-funded universities, nobody seems particularly troubled by that. Maybe they should be. Maybe we all should be.
You know, I've always found it strange. People really want to save money, but are so willing to toss their hard-earned coin into a 3-foot pool of disappointment.
I want to be rich.
You don't need to throw your money away. All you need is your phone.
Oh.
All right, President Trump joins us on the phone live. Hey, Mr. P, it's your favorite talk show host. How you doing?
Well, that's true. That's true. Greg, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's always good to hear your voice.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Congratulations on beating all of those frauds that try to compete with you at a certain time of the evening. You're a little earlier, but I will tell you, the numbers are incredible. Your numbers and their numbers are incredibly bad.
Yes.
And they deserve it. They have no talent, but congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we all have a bunch of questions. I'm sure we'll get to one of them.
Okay.
I want to ask you, how do you deal with people who might be disappointed because they voted, let's say they voted for you on the assumption of no wars, and then this happens and it's inconsistent with their wishes. What would you say to them?
Well, I have to do something in terms of making America great and keeping America great. And when you have lunatics with nuclear weapons, and the power is beyond belief, I will tell you, as a president, I get to see it. My uncle was a great professor at MIT, and he knew more about nuclear at the time than anybody. He told me stories that were horrible in terms of the power, both beautiful in terms of putting it to good use, but really bad for destruction purposes. And his statements from years ago were, he really got it. He really got it. He was a highly respected man. He was there for 41 years at MIT as a great professor. And he told me about a thing called nuclear. And at the time, nobody knew too much about it. And he said exactly what it was all about. And you can't let a madman, or you can't let a mad ideology have a nuclear weapon. And we hit, as you know, we hit 50,000 in the Dow. Everyone said it would be impossible in 4 years. I hit it in my first year. We hit 7,000 in the S&P, and everyone said that would be even more impossible. We hit it in my first year. And I said, we have to take a little bit of a detour. We have to take a little journey to a place called Iran, where these mad people were going to have a nuclear weapon, and they could do tremendous damage, not only to the Middle East and Israel, but also to our country, because we would be next. And I said, we're going to take a little detour, and we're going to go and we're going to knock them out. And that's what we've done. We have the greatest military in the world. And it started with the B-2 bombers, which made it impossible for them to do the nuclear. They would have had, if we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers like 8 months ago, if we didn't do that, they would have right now a nuclear weapon, and they would have used it by this time. And it also happened with Barack Hussein Obama, if you've ever heard of him. Barack Hussein Obama, terrible president, absolutely a divider and a terrible president. And when he did the Iran nuclear deal, he gave them a path to a nuclear weapon within a short period of time. They would have had a nuclear weapon a few years ago, and they would have used it on Israel. They would have used it on the Middle East. And you saw that when this all started. They had no tremendous problem with Saudi Arabia, Qatar. And you take a look, and UAE, Kuwait, Oman, they had no problem with them. They were doing fine, and yet they hit them with, in the case of UAE, 1,400 missiles, ballistic missiles. And what they were going to do is they were going to hit the Middle East, and they would have hit it with nuclear if they had it, because they're stone cold crazy. So in order to keep our country great, I said, we're going to take a fairly short detour. We're going to show everybody that there's nobody even coming close to us militarily. Nobody even comes close. We have the greatest weapons. We have the strongest military. And I rebuilt it. I built and rebuilt our military in my first term, and I got to use it a little bit more than I would have liked to be able, because we had Venezuela, and now we have this. But we're going to keep our country safe. You can't let this happen to us or, frankly, anybody else in the world. We're doing a big service to the world.
Mr. President, Kayleigh McEnany here. I do want to ask you about the breaking news. You just put out on True Social that you will be pausing energy plant destruction by 10 days to Monday, April 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern time, because the negotiations are going very well. I would never ask you to reveal to the public specifics, but could you broadly characterize where we are at?
Well, the Iranians asked me to do that, and I was not happy with them, because I made a statement that we're having productive negotiations. I don't know that they get there. Maybe they do, maybe they won't. I mean, look, in a certain sense, we've already won, because we've knocked out their Navy, we've knocked out their Air Force, completely knocked out their Air Force, just about completely knocked out. We knocked out 154 ships, and pretty good ships. In fact, I said, why don't we just take them instead of sinking them? We could have used them ourselves, right? But they like showing how tough they are. They like them at the bottom of the sea, probably a little bit better. But think of it. We knocked out their Navy. We knocked out their Air Force. We knocked out most of their missiles. They're down to about 9%. We knocked out their missile launchers, which is a big deal, because without the missile launchers, the missiles don't do very well. You can't go to your window and say, let's throw a missile out of the air. And we knocked out all of their communications, their telecommunications, and very importantly, we knocked out their anti-aircraft apparatus, which was very good, but it didn't last long, because we hit it the second night, and we're just free flying right over the middle of Tehran, do whatever we want. And one other thing we knocked out was their leaders. So we knocked out the supreme leader, as they called him, Khomeini. We then knocked out, they then named another one. We knocked them out, and we knocked out part of the third group, and we're just holding for the rest. We know where they all are. And it's one country that does not want to be, you have very few people want to be the leader. You know, everyone wants to be president of the United States. Everyone wants to be president or whatever, prime minister of a certain country. There are not a lot of takers to be the head of Iran right now. I will tell you, they're all fighting not to. We don't want that position. But they asked me if they would, Kaylee, importantly, they said to me, very nicely, through my people, could we have more time? Because we're talking about tomorrow night, which is pretty quick. And if they don't do what they have to do, I will knock out their power plants. And he said, does that include nuclear? Because they have nuclear, plenty of money. They have a lot of money, and they built nuclear, and they built regular power plants, but they're massive and very expensive, billions of dollars. And so I gave them a 10-day period. They asked for 7. You're going to say, oh, Trump's a terrible negotiator. They asked for 7, and I said, I'm going to give you 10, because they gave me ships. We talked about the 8 ships, the president that I talked about the other day. But they asked for 7, and I gave them 10. You got 10 days. And they were very thankful about that. Now, they may say, oh, we're not speaking. I don't like that, because that wasn't true the last time, as you found out. But we are speaking, and it's going fairly well. And so I gave them 10 days.
Well, that was nice of you. Very generous. Mr. President, it's Kennedy.
I am.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creator.
So you talk about some of the people in Iran who are left in the regime. They don't want to be the supreme leader because they know it's probably a short-term position. There are a lot of Democrats in this country who would like to be presidents. They would like to succeed you, and they are using this war as a battering ram. People like Seth Moulton, who ran in 2024, he is saying that, 2020, he's saying you are losing this war. And my question for you, in terms of people who may be giving you pushback on the Democrat side, and even some within your own party, what does winning this war look like?
Well, we've already won the war. Militarily, we've totally won the war. We even knocked out all their they call them mine droppers. They drop. How'd you like to have a country that has 22 ships that do nothing but drop mines in the water? You know you're off to a bad start when you hear that. Now, a guy like Moulton, I don't know who he is. I don't think I ever met him, but he's a loser. I mean, I watch him on television. He's a total loser. And they use this. I watch poor Chuck. I mean, Chuck Schumer is a great Palestinian, represents the Palestinian nation right now. He's no longer Jewish, I guess. What he's done to the Jewish people is incredible. They hate him. But remember this. They are good at one thing, sticking together. They have horrible policy, and they lie. And, they did everything they could to beat me. I won 3 times. Unfortunately, the election was rigged the second time, and everybody knows it. And now all the proof is coming out. It's coming out loud and clear. We won by millions of votes the second time. But I don't talk about it. I go on to let's do it again. If I didn't think I won the second time, I knew I won by a lot. I wouldn't have run the third time because, that's like the ultimate poll. But I knew how well we did the second time. But the third time we made it too big to rig. So for those people that say the level of popularity, CNN, your friends at CNN, fake news CNN, one of the worst networks you'll ever see, one of the most dishonest, disgusting groups of people. But what happened is they did a poll. And the poll came out yesterday or the day before. And is Trump losing MAGA support? The poll was 100%. And their pollster, he's got a lot of energy, and he's pretty good. He probably won't have a job very long. But he said, whoa. It was 100% of the people, the MAGA people, and which is mostly, I think MAGA is almost the whole Republican Party, you want to know the truth. Almost everybody endorsed wins. Almost every single person that I endorse wins. And Kaylee knows that better than anybody. She was witness to it for a long time. Mm-hmm. And she's doing a good job, by the way. But almost everybody. So they did a poll at CNN 2 days ago. And I think you probably saw it. Maybe you put it on. But it was 100% support. So it's wrong. We have people that are weak or stupid or low IQ people that don't mind having Iran have a nuclear weapon. The MAGA people are smart. Now, that doesn't mean they want us over there for, like Bush, for years. Just for years. I always said, don't go into Iraq, but if you do, keep the oil. Well, we are a very powerful military. We're the most powerful military nation in the world, and we did a big number on them. And our people like it because they don't want to see us 100%, think of it, 100% in a CNN poll, which are the worst polls, almost as bad as Fox polls. I hate Fox polls. Well, honestly, whoever does your polls, they're terrible. Rupert Murdoch has promised me for years he's going to get rid of your pollster, but he doesn't do it. I don't get it. But your Fox polls are terrible. But the pollsters that are good have me leading by a lot and leading every candidate if I'd love to run. But, there's some things you can't do in life, I guess. Not allowed to do. But we're very popular. I mean, what can I say? MAGA loves the fact that they're not going to have somebody with a nuclear bomb over their head. MAGA loves the fact, like in Venezuela, everyone said, oh, this is going to be very unpopular. Well, we're now taking in hundreds of millions of barrels of oil from Venezuela, and we're giving them a lot, and we're keeping a lot, and Venezuela is doing better than they've ever done. We had 100 million barrels of oil in the first week. We more than paid for the entire attack by, in fact, we made it probably 4 or 5 times more than the cost of that attack. But it showed the military power. I mean, the war was over in 45 minutes. And that's a strong military. You know, if you go to Venezuela, everybody wears a uniform, all right? A lot of people. But we're getting along great with them. Now, MAGA loves it because we're there and we're participating, and it's, you know, one of the most valuable oil sites or oil countries in the world, just behind us. We're producing now more oil than Saudi Arabia and Russia put together. And we don't need the Hormuz Strait. What bothers me is that countries that don't do anything about it. We're actually doing this for other countries. We don't need it. We did 1%. We don't have to do anything. We don't need the 1%. I think we did it just because we wanted to be nice to them. We don't need it. But I think I'm more popular than I ever have been. Look, when he heard 100%, he said, "I've never seen a poll like this. This is the craziest poll I've ever seen." It was 100% of the people. And the reason is they like that I'm protecting our country from lunatics with a nuclear weapon.
Mr. President, the next time you do this on the 5, can we have you on set? Because we really want you to sit next to Jessica. I think you'd be a good influence on her. Can you do that?
Well, I think I watch Jessica, and I'm not a fan. And she uses fake numbers. She'll give, well, he's only polling 42%. That's not right. Polling very high, actually. You know, polls are just like, I hate people that use fake polls because polls are just like bad journalists. You know, bad journalists, they write fake stories. Well, fake polls do damage also. But that's the thing. I'm sure I'd like her. I'm sure she's a lovely person.
Yeah, she's a lovely person. She really misses the fact that she's not here. I get it.
Yeah.
We're working on her. Don't worry.
Now, tell me, did she not want to do it, or did you kick her off the show?
We didn't kick her off. She had a previous schedule that she couldn't change. But let me ask you about Iran. You kind of suggested that we'd knocked out Ayatollah Jr. Have we? And did the CIA tell you that Ayatollah Jr.'s gay?
Well, they did say that, but I don't know if it was only them. I think a lot of people are saying that, which puts them off to a bad start in that particular country. You know, I sort of have to smile to myself when I say I see people trying to defend the Palestinian regime for women for Palestine, but they kill women if you don't wear a certain if you don't wear certain cloth all over your face, you have no chance of living. And, you know, when I look at gays for Palestine, but they kill gays. They kill them instantly. They throw them off buildings. And I'm saying, who are the gays for Palestine? And they have a significant amount of gays for Palestine. Now, I think I did very well with the gay vote, okay? I even played the gay national anthem as my walk-off, okay, for my campaign. And I think it probably helped me, but I did great with no Republicans ever gotten the gay vote like I did, and I'm very proud of it. I think it's great. Perhaps it's because I'm from New York City. I don't know. But the gay national anthem was my walk-off, and I think it probably had. But think of it. Gays for Palestine, but they kill gays in Palestine. So when they hear that, I think probably we can talk about it, but it shouldn't be too hard.
Hi, Mr. President. It's Dana. And
hi, Dana.
I think it is alarming that we have not been able to see or hear from any of the Iranian people. And I imagine that is because their internet is shut down. And I think there is some general worry about them. Obviously, their government treats them terribly and killed tens of thousands of them in January. Like Kayleigh, I would never ask you to tell us something that is classified, but do you have any insight as to how they are doing? Do they have drinking water? Do they have food?
Right, I do.
It's upsetting.
I do. But first, you remember when we had lunch years ago in the base of Trump Tower when it was a brand new building?
It was a long time ago, yes.
A long time ago, and you haven't changed. Oh. You have not changed. Now, I'm not allowed to say this. It's the end of my political career, but you may be even better looking, okay? So I don't know what you're doing. But I will not say that.
Has a lot
I will
to do
not
with
say that because that will end my political career. You know, you're not allowed to say a woman's beautiful anymore. You know that, Jesse. You got to be careful.
Jesse's always in trouble.
No, he's borderline of this stuff. I mean, he's really, but no, it was great. I still remember it very well. And look, in my opinion, when you look at what's happened, they're petrified because the one side has guns and they have very nasty guns. They have the worst guns and machine guns. And what they do is they shoot you. And the people are brave, but they're not brave when they see people going down left and right. No matter who you are, I don't care how brave, unless you're really sort of stupid, you can't really protest. And the only reason they're not protesting is because they're being shot one after another. And they're doing it with snipers, where they have snipers in buildings. Not that they have to be snipers because they have, free range. But it started with the women. You remember about a year ago, we had 250,000 women? Well, they had women being shot right between the eyes from snipers, 4 or 5 snipers in buildings pretty high up and a little far away. And when you see, and you're a woman or you're a man, frankly, and you see a person dropping to the ground, bleeding from the brain badly, and then you see another one on the other side, and then you'll see 5 or 6 or 7. That's all it took. You run, and they ran, and they never came back. And if you noticed, about 2 weeks ago, they put out a notice that if you protest, we will shoot you. They killed him. Look what they did to the wrestler. They killed him for speaking up. They killed him. He was a star wrestler, great wrestler, actually. Iran has great wrestlers. And he was a star, one of the best. And they killed him because he spoke up, spoke against the regime, which is largely decimated. You could really say we have regime change because they've all been killed. They're all dead. Nobody really knows. The reason they gave us the 8 ships is I wanted them to prove that we're dealing with somebody that's allowed to deal. And they say, we will give you a present. And the present was 8 ships. We're going to give you 8 ships. And they actually made it 10. There was 8. And I heard on one of your shows 2 days ago in the morning, a very good show hosted by very good people, Fox and Friends. And by the way, I have to say, Maria's great. You got a lot of great people, you switch back and forth. Maria's great. You have so many great people. A couple of bad ones, but you can't have everything. You have a couple of lousy ones. But you can't have everything. But I watched on the show in the morning. They said, it's very surprising. There are 8 ships coming up the strait, and it's exactly what they told us they were going to give. And then they added 2 more. And that proved to me that we're dealing with the right people. But then they didn't want to say that publicly, and I said, well, you should say it publicly. And now they are saying it publicly.
Mr. President, let's shift onto other topics. I'm debating whether to be serious or not serious. I'm going to be not serious.
Do you think Biden would do this interview? Can you imagine?
No,
do you think
not.
Biden, Sleepy Joe?
No way.
It would have ended in the first 12 seconds.
You're doing the White House Correspondents' Dinner for the first time, and you're going to attend. Why wasn't I asked to do the roast?
Well, I would love it. Actually, if you would do it, I'd accept it. If they would do that, I would accept that 100%. But, I haven't done it because right from the beginning, I was treated rather rudely and crudely. I won the election in 2016. It was one of the greatest elections ever. And you were all witness to it. And I had but they were so nasty. The press was so nasty. So I didn't do it. And, there's this theory that I was there while Barack Hussein Obama was speaking and he was hitting me a little bit. Actually, it was very nice. And I loved it. I really loved it. I was saying to my wife, our first lady, our movie star first lady, Nancy, I always say, there's only room in a family for one star. This is serious. This could be a problem. But she's a movie star. Can you believe it? But I was saying to her, I said, I love this. I'm having a good time. Because every joke was about me, and I sort of liked it. I can handle that stuff. And they said, I was so upset with that evening that I decided that evening to run for president, whatever it was. But it was at the White House dinner. It had nothing to do with my running for president. I actually enjoyed it. But I never did it. And I said, I'll do it now. We had a great election victory. We won the popular vote. We won. If you take a look at the counties in America, 87% of the counties in America. That's why when you look at, they go by counties when they do the coloring, and you look at a map of the United States, it's all red except for 2 little blue lines along the edge. If you look at the little New York and a little California, and I think California, I think we have a chance. If they would have no mail-in voting in California, I would win California, and the right person, the right Republican could win. But they send out like 38 million ballots. A lot of them go to Democrats. In many cases, you get 2, 3, 4. The highest number I've heard was 7. And Republicans are there calling for their ballot. They're saying, do you have my ballot, please? So anyway, but we won 86% of the counties in America. So, it was like a great election. And I don't know. I think as bad as they've been better to me than they were in the first 4 years. It's hard to be bad. We will soon, you'll see. I mean, we had up until I decided to make this little journey, as we talk about, to Iran, we've had the best economy ever. We have $18 trillion being invested in our country. No country's ever had 3. The record is 3, happened to be China many years ago, 10 years ago. We have 18 coming in, and they're building plants all over the United States. I just left the head of Micron. It's one of the hottest companies. But you have Jensen, you have from NVIDIA, you have all these people. They're all building plants one after another. I'm making it possible for them to do it. We're getting them to the permits rapidly. We're letting them build their own electric because we have an old grid system that wouldn't allow it. So we're letting them build their own electric plants. They're building electric plants for every one of their big buildings because they're massive buildings that we wouldn't be able to supply that kind of power. You know, they need the new factories in the country need more than double the electricity that we currently have for the whole nation, for everything. Think of it, more than double. We need twice as much electricity as we, and what we're doing is saying, you build it yourself. This way they can't complain. But we're getting them fast approvals. Lee Zeldin is doing a great job.
Mr. President, Kayleigh again, two things happen tomorrow. TSA misses their second paycheck, $1 billion in missed paychecks, and Congress is set to go on a paid spring break vacation. Thune says he's given his last and final offer to Democrats, and you tweeted out today, terminate the filibuster. Thune said, I got a call this morning to that effect from the president. Where do things stand with TSA? Will they get paid, and should Republicans nuke the filibuster to do it?
Well, look, I like John Thune, and it's not easy for him because he's got 3 or 4 people in there that, I'm not big fans of, frankly, and that don't vote for us like they should. You have, perhaps I shouldn't mention their names, but you have 3 or 4 people that I am not at all fans of, and it's not an easy job for John. And I'm telling you, the Democrats, the one thing they do is they stick together. They don't have these people like Massey, who's just a terrible congressman. They don't have Rand Paul. I call Massey Rand Paul Jr. They both come from Kentucky. I call him Rand Paul Jr. Never votes, no matter what. You can give him voter ID and 5 other things that are perfect, and he'll figure out a way not to vote. It's just there's something wrong with the guy. Rand votes. Rand said Trump is one of the greatest presidents in the history of our country, and I called him and I said, I'd rather have your vote. Take the statement back. Just give us your vote. But I sort of like the guy, but he just doesn't vote for good things. It's just crazy. He wants to be a libertarian, I guess, but he just says, I'm fine with libertarians. I'm sort of a libertarian myself. But you have others. You have Murkowski from Alaska. I've given Alaska probably more. She's a very difficult person, very, very, very terrible person, to be honest with you. And you have Tallons. And I won half of Maine. I win Maine. I win the lumberjacks and the fishermen. I win those big, strong lumberjacks. They like Trump. But she wins the other part of Maine, and I hope she wins because we have to. She's a good person, actually, but we have to win. We have to keep the majority. Otherwise, all of the things that we've done are going to go down the tubes. But I would terminate the filibuster, and I'd take a vote, and I'd have everything done, and I'd vote on voter ID, and I'd vote on citizenship. I'd vote on no mail-in ballots, other than if you're, military or you're ill or you're traveling. I mean, I'll be generous about it, but no mail-in ballots. They're inherently dishonest. Jimmy Carter said that. The greatest thing Jimmy Carter ever did was after he got out of office. Because his tenure in office was not good. He did something that is horrible. He gave away a thing called the Panama Canal for $1. This was perhaps the worst deal ever made. The Panama Canal for $1 was not good. It was I don't know if you know, Panama Canal was the most expensive thing, if you bring it to current dollars, ever built in the history of our country, in the history of the world. And it was a massive. We lost 38,000 people because of the mosquito and a particularly vicious snake. This was not a friendly area. This was not a hospitable climate for the climate change people. And they built the Panama, but they lost 38,000 American lives were lost. And it was the most at the time. It's the equivalent to $5 trillion today. And he gave it away for $1. It's also very profitable, by the way. Always was very, very profitable. Should never have given it away. So, I like to see things done. I would like to see the filibuster terminated. I think it's great. And here's the one thing, and I saw Greg say this the other night, and I do like his show. I like all of your shows, actually. I'm glad Jessica's not there. Because I think, I think your show would be better without her. But, who am I to say that? Isn't that better? I think it would be a lot better. But, Kennedy, you're doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
But, we have a filibuster that would give us the right to vote, and we wouldn't need the Democrat votes. And you have a couple of Republicans. But remember this, and you all said it, they are going to vote for it. If they ever get in a position where they get the presidency, and hope that doesn't happen because they would destroy what we built. But if they ever got in a position where they got the majorities in the presidency, they will vote on it in the first hour. Maybe the first day, but I think the first hour. And when you know that, why are they doing this? They should vote on the filibuster, and they should approve everything. And they should also get voter ID and all of those other things that I said. For instance, men and women's sports, voted in. Just voted in. We're winning it anyway, but voted in. There's so many things. They're like 100. I love when they say they're 80-20. They're not 80-20. They're 98-2. And vote this stuff in. But some Democrats, they stick together, and the Republicans, it only takes 3 or 4 people. And we have a few beauties.
Mr. President, speaking of mosquitoes and snakes, Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, they're both on book tour, taking some shots at each other. Kamala took a shot in her book on Gavin. This is the sound of Gavin reacting to that. Listen to this. Go.
Why don't you guys like each other?
No, I'm quite the contrary. I think
so BFFs. that goes back 20 plus years. I think the press and pundits want to make something of that. And so they try to color it in. She gave me a little shot as it relates to the actual truth of the walk I was on. She added that in. I think it graded some color for the book. It certainly helped her book sales. Not my component part, but that book is done unbelievably well.
Did you read it?
I did not fully read it. I've got it. I've read excerpts. I admit, Kamala, I have not fully absorbed the book.
So who do you think is going to rise to the top, Newsom or Harris?
Well, first of all, he said he can't read. Okay. You know, he did an interview. I have no idea who did the interview. I've never seen the gentleman. I'm sure he's excellent. But he did an interview a couple of weeks ago that was maybe the worst interview for a professional politician that I've ever seen. He said he's mentally incompetent. He can't read a speech. He said things about his brain. He's got bad board scores. He's got bad this. And then he looked at the room and he said something to the effect that, I'm dumb just like all of you people. And he ends up being called a racist because of that statement. This was the worst interview, but he admitted that he was a stupid person. And we don't want a stupid person as president. And if you watch him with the hands and everything else, there's something wrong with the guy. He's a nice-looking guy, but he's losing the look. He's losing it. It happens. It happens. It's all right. He's losing the look. And, you know, we want an intelligent person. He admits that he suffers from mental disability. He admits it. And somebody said, a reporter, a fake reporter, said to me, well, it's not fair that you talk about he's mentally disabled. I said, yeah, but he said that he's essentially mentally disabled. And I think it's fine. I just don't want it in a president, okay? We have enough problems. We just had that, by the way. We went through 4 years of that, and look what it got us. Not good. It got us Sleepy Joe.
Hi, it's Dana again. So I have kind of a pop culture question for you.
Okay.
So I'm new to New York, relatively speaking, so 15 years. And there's all of these young people across America are watching Love Story, which is the story of JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. And I'm curious, Did you know JFK Jr. and do you have any nostalgia for the 90s?
So a little bit, but actually I love the 80s a little more than the 90s. The 90s I was fighting hard. You know, we were in sort of a depression, countrywide depression. And depressions aren't great when you're in the real estate business, but I did great in it. I did well. I always made money. I made money in good times and bad times, but it was a sort of a nasty time economically a lot of the nights. But I actually knew him and liked him, and he liked me, believe it or not. He actually put me on the cover of his magazine, George. And I got to be friendly with him, and he would go down to Mar-a-Lago with me and with Carolyn. It was a tragic thing. Look, he was going to sell that magazine, which was, a little bit of an anchor. It didn't work out too well. It was okay, but it was fine. Today, magazines are not doing too well, but in those days, they'd be all right. It was all right, but it wasn't great, and wasn't good for him. His mother he wanted to be a Broadway actor more than any other thing. He wanted to be a Broadway. I knew him very well, actually. He liked me. Can you believe it? He liked me, and I liked him. Let me tell you, he's a very handsome guy. He was a handsome guy. You don't get better looking than. He was going to run for politics. He was going to run for the Senate. He told me, and nobody would have beaten him, and he probably would have ended up being president because he had a lot of good things. He was sort of a great guy. I knew them both pretty well. I knew him much better. They would go down to Mar-a-Lago together, and they had a very interesting relationship. They would bicker. I want to be nice. They would bicker together. They would, in other words, have little fights, and then they'd make up and start kissing wildly. So it was one of those relationships, and you never know how those relationships are going to turn out. Frankly, I've seen them go on for years, and I've seen them go on for about 2 days before they broke up. But they would bicker like few people I've ever seen. But the bottom line is, and every woman loved him. He was a truly good-looking guy that was a nice guy, and I think he would have been the senator easily. I mean, easily. And he's going to run for the Senate in New York, and I think he would have gone on perhaps to be the president.
Mm-hmm. Well, someone who's a little less charming than JFK Jr., God rest his soul, Jimmy Kimmel. One of those lackluster late-night hosts took aim at your new DHS chief. Let's hear what he had to say last night about Mark Wayne Mullen.
Trump's got a whole new generation of thinkers lined up, including his newly confirmed Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne, Chuck, Mike, Bruce, Dave, Mullen. Maybe Mellon's better. He is the now former senator of Oklahoma. Before he was elected to the Senate, Mark Wayne Mullen was a low-level MMA fighter and a plumber. That's right. We have a plumber protecting us from terrorism now.
What do you think about those comments?
Well, I've watched this guy. He's a loser. He gets no ratings, none. He's got no talent. He's got Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, whenever I watch, I just can't believe that he's even on the air. He shouldn't be on the air. In the old days when you didn't have good ratings or you didn't have any ratings practically, you get fired. He should be canned. Mark Wayne is fantastic. He became very successful. He took over a small company from his parents, and he made it very, very successful, made money. He was also a very good fighter, very, very good fighter. I never heard low-level MMA. I mean, if you fight these guys, these are rough cookies. And if you fight, and he had a good record. He had a very good record in fighting. But, you know, that's unimportant. But he is sort of a fighter. But more than anything, you know, I call him country smart. He's a very smart guy. He's got a great way. Everybody loves him. He got a couple of Democrat votes, which is shocking nowadays, right? But everybody loves him, and I think he's going to do a fantastic job. He's got a great way about him, and people respect him a lot.
Mr. President, could I ask, where are you right now? I know that may be a weird question. Are you in the Oval Office?
I'm in the Oval Office. I'm usually there waiting for a call. How are we doing on Iran? How are we doing in Venezuela? How are we doing in all different things, all different aspects? I cover a lot of different topics. No, I love the Oval Office. It's the greatest office anywhere in the world. You know, I have people come in, the biggest people in the world, presidents and prime ministers and the biggest business people, and they walk into the office and they you really are at an advantage because they are so freaked out by the Oval Office. They can't believe it, you know, that they're there. No, it's the most precious piece of real estate in the world. And we're building a ballroom. You know, they've been after one for 150 years, and we're building what will be, I think, the best anywhere in the world. It'll be unbelievable. And, you know, it's interesting. You have the preservation, essentially, this group preservation, a group of preservation. They sue me for that. They sue me because the Trump Kennedy Center, I'm fixing it. It's in horrible shape, actually dangerous shape, with steel that's rusting and rotting, roofs that are falling in, rain is pouring. It's the worst thing you've ever seen. It's going to be incredible. They sue me. But they don't sue the guy that's billions of dollars over budget and destroyed the Federal Reserve building. That's Jerome Too Late Powell. I said, did they sue him? I build under budget, ahead of schedule. And by the way, there's no cost. You know, I'm building the ballroom, and it's a very big thing with the military and everything else. Military is very much involved. It's a big, big deal, and it's great. It's going to be beautiful. But you would think that they go after a guy who's destroyed the Federal Reserve building. Federal Reserve building was so beautiful. He ripped down the most beautiful part of it. I would have done that job for $25 million. That would have been gorgeous. And I think they're going to hit the $4 billion mark for a renovation of a small little complex. It's a little complex. And I say, why aren't you suing Powell? And they don't know. They have no idea. But we're building a beautiful, I think it'll be one of the most beautiful ballrooms, maybe the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world, and it's very much fitting with the White House, and the White House deserves it. But presidents for 150 years wanted a ballroom. And many of you, I'm sure, were invited to big events. We have the president of China, you have France, our friend Macron, a wonderful friend, but he wasn't exactly there. He wasn't quick with the ships. When he heard we were fighting Iran, I wouldn't say he was quick to the draw. Donald, may I call you back next week? Oh, yes, I'll be back. Then they all say, no, we'll send them immediately. But I said, no, I don't need them anymore. We won. I don't need you anymore. I'd like you before we won, not after we won. But, you know, the people would have a tent, and the tent would have 1,000 people, because we have a very small room here, very small, much ridiculously small. And if it rained, the water would always go, because it's at a low point on the ground. It's the only place for the tent. And so if it rained hard, the water would be 4 or 5 inches off the ground. So you can see the president of China, President Xi, sitting there after having left one of the great ballrooms of the world, the Great Hall of China, they call it, sitting there with water over his ankles. Now we're giving them one of the, and by the way, no taxpayer money used at all for all this stuff. The Ark, we're doing a triumphal Ark, which was, you know, the circle by the bridge, by the Arlington Bridge near Arlington Cemetery. They've wanted to be built for 175 years. A thing got in the way, a little event got in the way called the Civil War. The Civil War. They were going to build it, and then they had the Civil War. And that would get... It's going to be beautiful. And we're doing a lot of good...
Can we ask you one last...
They're so good. Bryson DeChambeau, Rory McIlroy. I love Tiger, but he won't be there. He'll be there, but he won't be playing in it. I have so many friends, and they're such great players. They're such talented. They're long. You know, Jesse's going to be a good player. I saw Jesse hitting a ball a little while ago. Jesse's going to be okay. Not of this caliber quite.
Getting there.
Jesse's getting there.
I need a little more time. I have 2 shows. It's hard to get out there and swing.
And you haven't been. No, he's got some golf talent. But so I don't. They're just great players. So it's hard for me. If I pick somebody, I'm going to have enemies. I'll have 10 guys that no longer speak to me. But you have great talent. These are very talented. Scotty Scheffler is amazing. He's the number 1 ranked player. Bryson DeChambeau on the Live Tour. In the last 2 weeks, he won both tournaments. You know, I mean, he's fantastic. So he's going in hot. Rory's hot. You got great players, great talents. It's one of my favorite events of all time.
And hers too. Anyway, thanks for taking that question. I had a feeling you would be smart.
I have to be a politician, like when they say who's going to win the Super Bowl. So That's good. But it's a fair question.
President Trump, it was a pleasure.
Thank you, Greg.
Have a great evening.
Thank you very much. Well, this was fun. I'm a big fan of all of you, and I just thank you. It's an honor to be with you, and our country is doing fantastically well, and you can be proud of it. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world.
Who's going to be the next president?
Well, I would say that it will be a Republican. I really believe that, and I think it'll be a good one. I think we have a combination of people that would be very good. You put together a little combination, I think it would be hard to beat the combination. So I think you can figure that out. But I think it's going to be. I do believe it's going to be a Republican. I hope so, because we've made so many great strides. It would be a shame to see that thrown away.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Bye.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. The 80s were better than the 90s. JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette bickered a lot.
And made out a lot.
And made out. Mullen is country smart. I never knew that. But I had an idea. I think we should do the 5 from the ballroom when it's done.
That's a good
I think that is a great idea.
Well, are we still going to be on? I mean, when's it going to be done?
I think it's going to be done on time and under budget.
Okay, I believe under budget, but is it on time?
I think so, Dana. We have people working around the clock.
Okay. My takeaways were so different than yours. They were like, Iran asked for 8 days and we gave them 10 and all the diplomacy, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, he speaks with such fluidity and you just think like President Biden could not have done that. And it's just interesting. It's interesting to listen to.
Especially if you get him on the topic of any kind of project or construction or buildings. You could go on in 8 different directions. Like that's what.
I believe you just got booked for the White House correspondent.
No, I didn't.
Did that happen?
No, I was joking.
Oh, I don't know.
I was either going to ask him that or about Corey Lewandowski. I was just sitting there going, which way do I go?
Better choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Now just Jackie Heinrich is on the board, so maybe we can see our very own Jackie Heinrich.
Yeah, I can't make it. I'm out of town.
Any last thoughts, Kennedy?
No, I thought he was very funny. You know, regardless of how you feel about his politics, he's very funny and very quick in the moment, which is great for live television.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.
People should absolutely rethink what they know about Harbor Freight Tools. It's a totally different company. My name is Wes Farmelink. I'm the Senior Vice President of Quality and Engineering. Our QA labs are really unique.
Checks in the mix where it's hella hot. We thirsty, so we snatch your water, go to Jelena. If that shorty is your daughter, she a hella thot. And her mama bombshell finna hella drop. Pop up with my niggas, got that killer cop. Sheriff Joe run up quick, tryna blow my spot. On the road, riding dirty, gotta dish the crowd. Banging ass green grams, wait out on the dock. If Molly coming to the party, Lucy want me to pop. 2 see eye to eye, can you see mine's eye? Never mind, let me wine, dine, and dazzle your mind. If you're trying to catch up, then turn up behind. I carried on our date just to kumquat her grape. I got the appetizers and peach sliders for your plate. I kiwi all you palm slices. I got diced fruit for your fade. Okay, enough with your fruity pebbles, loops, or mini chips. We eating on that A1, saucing on them dead. We real ones, we go-getters too. Go get those in-sons, camps and hustlers, dude. Blowing smoke into the air. Fuck you, miss, while we cruise. I don't play fair, but never break the rules. Smoking cigs and bottle runs. Local banging ass niggas. Bless the bottle, light them up. Got bitches hanging ass niggas. If you can see me now, maybe hating ass niggas. Where you been when I had nothing ass nigga? Don't be coming round now. You can't hold nothing ass nigga. Now I'm up. Here you showing up, ass nigga. With or without you, I was finna get it. Just be proud of the fact that one of us made it. PHX in the mix where it's hella hot. We thirsty, so we snatch your water, go to Jelena. If that shorty is your daughter, she a hella thot. And her mama bombshell finna hella drop. Pop up with my niggas, got that killer cop. Sherry Joe running quick, tryna blow my spot. On the road, riding dirty, gotta dish the crowd. Banging ass green grams, wait out on the dime. If way back when you was with me when I rode, you be here smoking blips with me. Cups hella full, taking sips with me. Nah, I'm out here on the hustle in this industry. Yeah, grab my wifey, nuzzle up between the sheets. Kiss her softly, make that wet spot on the sheet. I'm with my cousin, have another dream. Turn the music up with a blip of the street. The money stack rising, the money's like the hit at the peak of the day. High noon, it gets way too hot to play. Seriously, the time to get paid is all we get. Getting this day out with the ass with the 2 pieces. Knocked out KO, got that 2-piece. Eat this, eat this. You niggas that's hungry for beef, deep this. Fucking with me is a dream. Y'all niggas sleepless. If I had you on the scale, y'all niggas weightless. On the corner with the pill, hands out. Y'all niggas shameless. Roll up to your spot. Burn y'all niggas faceless. Talking all that shit. The bullets, y'all niggas nameless. The SAZ rollers out here, y'all niggas ain't shit. PHX in the mix where it's hella hot. We thirsty, so we snatch your water, go to Jelena. If that shorty is your daughter, she a hella thot. And her mama bombshell finna hella drop. Pop up with my niggas, got that killer cop. Sheriff Joe run up quick, tryna blow my spot. On the road, riding dirty, gotta dish the crowd. Banging ass green grams, wait out on the dot. Brand new entertainment, go ahead, baby. I got some questions I need to ask myself. Really need to ask myself. I just don't even know anymore. What do I really want to do? Where do I really want to go? Who do I really want to be? Man.
I say tonight, members of Congress, the state of our union is strong.
Try to do the right thing all the time. I'm like a hero online.
Our country is winning again. In fact, we're winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it. People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much. And I say, no, 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 you're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud.
Shit. Hit me on my phone and you know I'm hopping on that next plane. You know what's up. Shit, let's hit them up. Party over here, then we party over there. Come back to the crib, kick it with the kids. That's just how I live. Family biz. This is how we go. Rolling back and back and back.
I think it's going to be very interesting. Is dancing class fight.
Going back to back and we coast to coast. All over your city. Zoom, zoom, zoom. My boom, boom, boom. Got a new one of those. Shit, it's neat. Damn, unique. Damn, it's neat. Unique, neat, chic. Oh shit, that nigga complete. Never see defeat. Then I'll erase a nigga delete. Gone. Run this shit all day like track meet, boy. You know we be doing this shit. Back at home, it was all legit. Everybody so fitted up and we be sick. Glistening like diamonds, a motherfucking trick. Yeah, we ain't even got a trick, you know what I'm saying? But it's like a magician, straight illusion. Nah, nigga losing, straight cruising in my Zoomer, nigga. Yeah, I'm pushing, zooming through the traffic, bopping and weaving, attacking, knocking niggas, no sleeves. Damn, how you acting? It's too high, and this bitch, let's get it cracking. Arizona, checks, you already know. You know we on them. Who's next? Everybody in a row. Straight Q shot. My God, there's a lot. 50 cal. Heart stop when a nigga go blam blam. I don't give a fuck. Brains everywhere, going ham. Oh, what do I really wanna do? Where do I really wanna go? Who do I really wanna be? What do I really wanna do? Where do I really wanna go? Who do I really wanna be? Man.
Wait, we need to talk about something.
Shit. PHS. Yeah, that free flow is for real. Entertainment, baby. Can't even copy that shit. Going ham in this bitch. Yeah. Money in these checks. What's next? What's next? What should I do? Tell me what should I do? What should I do? Getting money in these checks. What's next? What's next? What should I do? Baby, what should I do? Checks. Money in these checks. What's next? Tell me what should I do? Baby, what should I do? Baby, all this money and all these checks. What should I do? Baby, what should I do? Yeah. I'm getting this money so much. I'm tripping cause I gotta spend so much. Can't hold it because then they coming for it. If I stockpile, I can't afford it. Damn, that's fucked up. They take all the money that you making, bruh. If you ain't spending that shit, damn, that's the time you taking. So I guess they want us to throw it back in society so we don't break it. Smash that shit. So if I wanna buy some shit, I guess I gotta get taxed on all of it. Unless it's low key. Black market is somewhere my homies be chillin'. So you know we be dealin'. You know me. Money in these checks. Tell me what's next. What should I do, baby? Getting all these money in checks. What should I do, baby? What should I do? Tell me. Getting all these monies in checks. Baby, what should I do? Baby, what should I do? Getting all this money in checks. Baby, what should I do? Tell me what should I do? Money, yeah, it's always on my mind. Cause I'm counting on my mom, counting all the time. Damn, I just amounting to something that I didn't have in mind. Now I gotta keep going and leave the whole world behind. Something like I'm Joe Beso. Just trying to kick back, damn, these pesos keep stacking back to back, that's for sure. I don't even know where to spend all of this dough. Shit, guess I gotta stockpile on my stock shit. I'm obnoxious and I'm feeling nauseous. Cause all this money coming now, nigga feeling, oh shit, stop it. Money ain't everything, I know it. Tell me what should I do? Money and all of these checks. Tell me what do I do? All these dollars. When I'm getting all this money and all these checks. Tell me what should I do? What should I do? With all this money and checks, baby, what should I do? Getting money and checks, baby, what should I do? What should I do? Baby, what should I do? Getting all this money and checks, baby, what should I do? Tell me what should I do? While I'm getting all this money and checks, baby, I should just do couple things to you. While I'm getting all this money and checks, tell me what should I do? Baby, what should I do? Yeah, you should know who it is by now, right? If you don't, you need to go look into my past. I got so many of these things. Since I started the game, legendary my name. Got a new car, now I'm flying. Brand new entertainment, baby. Since I started the game, legendary my name. Free flow off the head, baby, yeah. Since I started the game, legendary my name. Copped a new car, now I'm flying a plane. Since I started the game, legendary my name. Copped a new car, now I'm flying a plane. Well, you know how the game go. Always make a move, bro. Money on my mind, so you know I'm never going too slow. Gotta catch up to my dough. Can't let time slip away. Rolex on my wrist. still, oh shit, nigga got that new kid. Oh damn, just got a clip too for my new blam. You know what's up when a nigga come through with that stick going ham. I ain't trying to do it, but nigga got to prove it. Cause everybody acting like a nigga wouldn't do it. Since I started the game, legendary my name. And I copped the new cars. Now I'm flying the plane. Career was always in my sight, so I see it clear, and then you know I'ma fly to my next destination. Cause driving taking too long, man. I gotta save time. Since time is money, I'm finna stay rich cause I'm young. Well, I'm 33 and I'm still looking 20 like dumb. Oh, everybody on a nigga like Top Gun. So when I bust out my pistol, you know I'm shooting off some. No, I'm silly, yeah, I get really silly, giddy, gritty, a nigga greedy, so damn, I greet them and I go, I ain't even trying to wait on niggas cause they be moving too slow, so let me go around cause you know that sound when I come through, bam, bam, a nigga down, ham, all day, you knew who it was, so get it up. Since I started the game, legendary my name. Got the new core, now I'm flying them planes. Since I started the game, legendary my name. Copped a new car, now I'm flying the plane. 8 checks in the mix where it's hella hot. We throw some sauce like your body go to jelly now. Going to have
Damn, this shit exclusive.
My little homegirl put me on, she said, this shit brand new, free flow. Lady rappers been acting like this is not an art. You forgot about that part. Lady rappers been acting like this is not an art. You forgot about that part. Lately rappers been spitting like they ain't got a heart. Because when I step to the game, I rip that shit apart.
If you do not want to change,
from magic carpet, I ain't finished shopping.
if you do not want to better yourself, if you do not want to break
with me, get you the role and play your part. Beneficial functionality and strategy.
If you want to live in your comfortable delusion that they have built
hard,
for
only
you,
if the universe keeps dealing shitty cards. I'm trying as hard as I can against all of the odds, pushing as hard as I could is what got me so far. But what are my chances actually reaching the stars? Still, I would never get uptight over my heart.
Don't want to
Never
understand. If you are not here
up in the jar.
to
Sexy Middle Eastern looking ass like
something
I'm
that's outside of your own mind and accept others' minds and opinions and the way they think for themselves,
in
do
the
not
crib,
belong.
got your chick in my car. Every time you hear it tripping like that shit sounds
If you
bizarre.
are not trying
your
to
favorite rapper try hard,
be
still is a
positive,
mark.
if you are not
Still
trying
light the
to
fuel
help
to the game, watch
create
it spark.
solutions
My
while we
lines
discuss
burn
the
like
problems
blunts,
and
getting
how they
smoked
got
in
here,
the dark, hella cooking
you
shit
do not
up.
belong
If your
here.
ass wanna spar,
Negativity,
barbecue your
hate,
beef up like seats in my
disrespect,
car.
name calling, those things will not be allowed here on this platform and not in this empire. We are the ones, the true Americans, that want to be free and stand as we have always stood.